Hello everyone, thank you for watching this today. My name is Nora Conrad. I apologize for my voice. I am getting over COVID, so I still have some rasp. But today we are going to talk about building a digital workflow. This is something I am incredibly passionate about, especially for entrepreneurs, moms, working moms. Building a workflow for your digital life is something that can save you so much time and just help you be more efficient when you are on your computer or when you are working on your business. So, we're going to talk about how to build something that works for you and just go into a little bit of what my workflow looks like as an example, but highlight a few tools that are really awesome that you can definitely check out to build your own. So, first up, if you don't know who I am, Nora Conrad. I am a productivity expert. I am Notion certified, and I help women who are trying to build an online business find ways to do that productively but sustainably. So that means building routines and habits that are sustainable even when life gets crazy, building up a business that you can do for 4 hours a week or 40 hours a week, and just building a life that you really love and something that you feel passionate about. So I have been in this industry and online as a content creator for over a decade now, and I've worked with hundreds, if not thousands, of women to help them build workflows and routines that work really well for them. So I'm so excited to talk to you guys today about this, and let's just hop straight in, stop wasting time. First step of this is understanding your workflow. Workflow is a weird name, a weird category, but basically all I'm asking is, how do you currently handle tasks, events, calendar items, or just ideas that pop into your mind? So the first thing that I want to do is do an audit with you of what your existing workflow looks like. So let's say that you're out to lunch with a few friends and someone brings up the idea of getting together next weekend. How do you check if you're available? Is it just a bunch of stuff that you have remembered in your mind? Do you use a calendar app on your phone? Do you have a paper planner, a calendar that sits, on the refrigerator of your house? What is your current process for handling events? And do that for each aspect of this. So, how do you handle tasks? Let's say that you realize you have to make your kids a doctor's appointment, or you have a work project that is coming due. How do you make sure that those tasks that need to be done are actually completed on time, and how do you remember them? This could be a task app, sticky notes on your desk. It doesn't matter what your current process is. You might not think you have a process, but that just probably means that your process is remembering these things in your own mind. That's still a process, that's still part of your workflow. So what we want to do is take all of these ideas and write them down. For your tasks, your events, and your notes, what is your current workflow? It also might not be consistent. Maybe for your family's calendar, you guys have a calendar on the fridge, but maybe for your work tasks, you have an app that you use. Maybe for any notes that are regarding work, you have a specific notebook, or maybe for tasks for your personal life, your husband usually writes those things down. Whatever that looks like, write it out. Try to keep it as simple as possible. You don't have to write every single detail. Just write what apps or tools you're currently using, and then start to ask yourself the question of, is this working? So I'm going to show you my workflow as an example. Right now, I use a planner app called Sansama, and throughout the day, this is the app that's open on my computer or my phone. If I have a task pop into my brain, 99% of the time, I'm putting it straight into Sansama. This helps me just keep, my plans realistic. This doesn't necessarily mean that this is a good process. This is just the process that I use, though. For emails, I use an app called Superhuman, so that helps me go through emails really quickly. And if there are any tasks that are living in an email, Sansama pulls those in. For my calendar app, I use Cron. It was rebranded to Notion Calendar now, but it was previously called Cron. And so all of my meetings, appointments, personal stuff, family stuff, everything lives in that calendar. If someone has an event coming up, I put it in right away. If I make an appointment, I put that in right away. My husband and I share calendars on there, so he sees it, I see it. That's my calendar app. For my notes, I use Notion. I have it on my phone and on my computer, so anytime like a new idea pops up, or I'm making a grocery list, or whatever it is, it goes into Notion. And then I also have the web browser Arc, which I use for work basically. But that's where like my bookmarks live. That's where passwords live. Things like that all belong in Arc. So I've included it here. So any apps that you use that is a piece of your process, I want you to write them down. If you need to pause the video to do this, definitely do. I want you to physically get some paper out and write it down. You can do it digitally if you prefer that. I personally like to write it onto sticky notes. So let's say I have my calendar in the kitchen, that's one sticky note. And then I have my email on my phone, that's another sticky note. Just put them all on sticky notes. And then what we're going to do is organize that into a method and a process that makes sense. But once you have the list of places that you are putting content into, your calendar, your notes, and your tasks, then what we want to do is talk about choosing tools that work for you. Now, if you don't already have a good workflow in place, if you're looking at your notes right now and it just looks scattered, or if you have like 18 sticky notes in front of you, I'm going to challenge you to simplify that. The main reason for having a workflow is to know exactly where each category of items goes, so events, notes, and tasks, where each of those belong, and also to be able to find those things efficiently. Having a workflow doesn't really do anything for you if you cannot trust your system. You need to trust that when you look at the calendar app you're going to use, that it's accurate and that all of your events are actually in there. If you put half of your events on a family calendar in the kitchen and the other half in an app in your phone, you're never going to have a complete view of everything. The idea here is to create complete views of your tasks, notes, and events in a place that's easily accessible. This doesn't have to be digital either. You can use a paper planner for this if that's what makes you comfortable. Whatever tool you choose is completely up to you. The idea is that the tool that you're using is just consistent. So first up is email. If you are anything like the average American, you have at least 2 or 3 email accounts. My question is, do you have access to all of those email accounts and do you check them often? So how many emails accounts do you actually have? Do you have folder systems for those email accounts? When you get emails in, are you organizing them? Are you archiving them, trashing them? Are you even reading or opening all of them? How much are you willing to budget for an app that helps you organize them? If it's 0, write that down. You can use things like Apple Mail, Gmail. There's so many free options. There's also things like SparkMail, Canary, Superhuman that offer a little bit extra features that help you organize and help you consolidate all your emails into one account. I love using Superhuman, but it is expensive. It's $30 a month. And if you're not someone who lives in your email like I do, that might not make sense for you to invest in. The point is to just find an app that combines all of your stuff together. So if you have an iPhone, having Apple Mail just have all of your accounts might make a ton of sense for you. If you are someone who owns a lot of businesses, you have a lot of different emails, and you need a good way to go through them quickly, Superhuman might be a great option. If you are somewhere in between there, you might want to look into something like SparkMail or Canary Mail, or just combine them all into one Gmail account. I want to talk about calendars. Now, if you use the Apple ecosystem, then using something like iCal might just make sense. If you use something like the Gmail ecosystem, then using Google Calendars might make sense. Like I said, I use Notion Calendar, which only currently works with Google Calendars, so that's just what I use. There are a ton of calendar apps on the market. Most of them are free. The question really is, what features do you need? Is there a way for events to automatically be pulled from your emails or your tasks? And how easy is it to share those events with other people? If you are single, then you might just want to share events one-off with coworkers or friends or whoever. If you are married, then can you easily share access to those calendars with your spouse or with your kids? Do you need to share with siblings or parents? Just how easy is it to connect different calendars together? Then for tasks, managing your tasks does not have to be hard. It's okay if they're just in a huge list and you have due dates or reminders set up. Although if you want something a little bit more organized, or if you're working on like projects or larger task collections, then you might want a specific app that can help you do that. Something like the Reminders app in Apple is perfectly suitable for most people. You can use things like Todoist, which also has a free version, but helps you organize things a little bit more into a structure. They also have a calendar now that allows you to see those tasks in a calendar view. And then there's other apps like Anydo, There's a million different project management apps if you need something more involved, which we'll talk about more in the planner section. But how easy is it for you to enter your tasks in? Can you do it from your phone? Can you use Siri or a smart device? Can you use natural language? So you could say, remind me to get carrots when I go to the grocery store today. Is it smart enough to remind you of that? For notes, this can be a little trickier because if you don't always have your phone with you, then you might need to use something different for notes. If you don't always have a computer by you, you're going to have to find something with a mobile app. If you prefer written notes, you might need a good way to scan those in and digitize them. Personally, I think that Apple Notes is perfectly suitable for most people. Again, you can use Google Keep if you're on Android. I love to use Notion, but it can be slow, or if you're somewhere with not very reliable internet, that might not be a great option for you. Things like Evernote have been around for forever, and those are still great options. There's a million different note-taking apps or all-in-one apps now, and it really doesn't matter what you use as long as you have a place to kind of get your thoughts out. This can be things like journaling, things like writing out plans for larger projects, just writing out notes for, webinars that you see or videos, whatever your job might entail, might involve taking notes. This is just a place to basically house all those ideas so you don't have to hold them all in your own mind. And then lastly is a planner category. Planners basically combine all of the above into one cohesive view. So like I said, I use Sunsama for this because I can import my tasks, calendars, emails, and notes all into one system and see them all there at once. And that helps me plan my days better and gives me a good overview of how much time I actually have to complete these things. There are a ton of planner apps on the market now, and most of them do cost money, but there are some really great ones that have free alternatives and are definitely worth checking out if you're someone who deals with a lot of tasks and a lot of emails, or if you're an entrepreneur and you need a way to actually plan your day out. So things like AkiFlow, Asana, Motion, Monday, ClickUp, all can kind of be this for you. It's just really how much you want to actually build this structure out or how much you want it to be built for you. So if you want to see all your tasks and events in one system, or if you need like an idea of what task you should be doing next, this planner category of apps is definitely worth checking out. So now let's talk about a few things specifically in your workflow that will actually help you organize these things, optimize them, and actually make this useful for you. Because having the app itself isn't going to fix your organization. You need to be able to have the organization built into the app you've chosen to use. So first up is email management. Email is one of those things where you probably either have inbox zero or you have 1,000 unread messages. There's not a lot of people that fall in that in between. You might have an account that has thousands of messages and another account that is your main email that is inbox zero. Regardless of what your current situation looks like, I'm going to encourage you that reaching inbox zero is not only doable, but it's actually a really healthy habit to get into. First off, it just helps you know what's going on in your digital life. Second of all, having an organized email system is actually a huge mental load that can be removed from you in your digital world. So much of our life now is online, and when you are getting thousands or hundreds or even tens of emails a day, it can feel like there's a lot on your plate or a lot of tasks that need to be done that don't actually have to be completed. So the first thing I'm going to recommend is just setting up some labels or folders to set up some sort of organization. This can be things like important bills, tax documents, newsletters that you want to read or reference back to later, things for your kids or schools, assignments or tasks that need to be done, things that you want to archive or save. Whatever that is, set up a really simple organization system that is going to be easy to maintain. You don't necessarily need 100 folders. You can just have a few larger categories to put things into. Most email systems, Gmail especially, have incredible search features, so you really don't need that much organization to be able to go back and find an email that you need. Most of the search functions will be perfectly suitable for trying to reference an old email. The organization is really just to get them out of the inbox and clear so that when you are searching for them, it's a little bit more narrow that you can go into to find what you need. The next thing I'm going to recommend that you do is unsubscribe. Every single day, if you unsubscribe from one thing, your email is going to be cleared in no time. Every time you go to a store and purchase something, every time you go onto a website and you want to get that coupon code, every email newsletter that you signed up for because you thought it'd be so helpful for your business and now you don't even read it because you don't have time, you got to start subscribing from some things. I personally unsubscribed from at least 100 different stores when I started this process, and it can take a while, but it is so worth doing because now I'm not getting Bed Bath & Beyond coupons and Costco catalogs and all those things that I really don't need to see and were getting deleted anyway, and it's just one less task for me to do each day. I can always resubscribe to the creators that I actually want to read from, and I actually have a folder that will hold all of my newsletters and stuff that I do want to read on my weekends. I like Saturday mornings to sit down and read a bunch of email newsletters, and I have a folder now that houses all of those, so when I have the time, I can go in there. Next up is setting up automations. So setting up things to automatically go to spam, automatically go to the folders they're categorized for, or automatically be starred as important if you need to see them. Setting up automations for really every step of this process is really important because it's going to save you time and it's also going to help you with that organization. Also utilizing templates to save you time on replies, especially if your job is something where you are sending a lot of the same responses. Use those templates to save you some time. The last thing I really want to touch on with emails is to actually not use your inbox as storage. So if you have a task that's due and you're just going to leave that email in the inbox until you complete it, that's really not best practice. The best way to do that is to output it into another system, your task system ideally, and then come back to that email if required. But you shouldn't have an email just sitting in your inbox that needs to have action taken on. Your email is simply a mailbox. You wouldn't leave mail in your mailbox at home so that you could deal with a bill later. You would have a process for actually paying that bill. You would at least set it on your desk. So move that task out of your inbox and somewhere else where you will make sure that you can actually do it and do it on time. And then just building all of this into a habit, checking your email regularly, unsubscribing from things regularly, marking things as spam as needed, will really just help clean up your inbox and make it much easier to go through your emails when you do. So all of these same principles can be applied to calendars. So sitting down every single week or daily at first if you need to, and just reviewing your calendar is a really good practice to get into. Just knowing that you need to put events in, you need to put in appointments, meetings, even just blocking time off your calendar for personal care can be a really helpful practice. Setting up notifications on your calendar is also a really great practice if you're not already doing that. If you are someone who has ever been late to or just missed an appointment, then this is something that can be really helpful. Just having things automatically send you a text or an email when an event is coming up. You can usually set up like a notification 5 minutes before, an hour before, and a day before. I do that for all of our different tasks and events because it just helps me stay on top of things. And then utilize multiple calendars. I have a calendar for our dinner plans. I have one for my business, like my content calendar. I have one for meetings and appointments, like doctor appointments. I have one for my family. I have one for my kids' school schedules. Don't be afraid to make a calendar for each like bucket in your life. And that way you can toggle them on and off as needed, but you can also see a good like overlay of where you're spending your time and what your day is looking like. Okay, so let's talk about task management. This is something that's going to vary widely depending on what your job is and kind of what you need. So task management is really just coming down to, do you trust the system that you're using to actually remind you of and organize your tasks appropriately? So for me, I have my grocery list and everything all in Notion because those aren't tasks, those are notes. And then for something that's an actual task, like responding to an email or filling out a form or making an appointment, those all go into Sansama. So I have a quick action on my phone so that I can just talk to Siri and tell her to add something to my task list. I also have little NFC tags around the house so I can complete certain tasks like journaling. I have an NFC tag in my journal that when I scan it, it marks that task as complete. So you can make that as intricate or as simple as you want, but the whole idea is that you just have one place where all of your tasks live, and every single day you can go in there and know what the next step is or what you should be doing for that day. All of this fits into just creating a seamless workflow. And when I say the word workflow, all I really mean is having a designated apps for each category of thing that happens in your life. So having a place where all your tasks go, having a place where your calendar events go, having a place where your notes belong, having this system written out does incredible things for you throughout the day. You may not have even thought about what systems you use or what workflows you have in place already, but really these are just the habits that feed into our routines. And so when you have these apps actually intentionally established, intentionally set up, and you are taking the time to build them, use them, learn them, you're going to start to see that there's not as much friction in task switching. There's not as much stress when you're trying to plan an event and you don't know what day works for you. It all is just going to lend itself to a calmer environment, more organized digital life, and just knowing exactly where to find the things that you're looking for. If you're interested on learning more about digital organization and workflows, especially specific for entrepreneurs, I have a course called Mastering Chaos that talks about all of this way more in depth, talks about how to get to inbox zero, how to set up task management systems that work, how to even plan your groceries using Google Calendars and task managers. So if you are interested in checking that out, there will be a coupon code that you can get for 50% off of that course. And of course, you can always reach out with questions to my email or check out my website at noraconrad.com for more about all of this. Thank you guys for watching and being part of this summit. I hope that you are enjoying all of the other speakers, and I wish you the best of luck.